January 1815. Dawn seeps over the cypress and cane. Jackson's line stands behind cotton bales, until it doesn't. Congreve rockets claw the fog, Highlanders wade the ditch, and a single breach becomes a river. New Orleans, key to a continent, falls not to fire alone but to timely, a charge at first light, a gunboat taken, a flank unstitched. While couriers gallop with word of peace from Ghent, the Union Jack rises above the Crescent City. What if Britain kept the mouth of America's great river, and never gave it back?
Form ranks! Ranks!
Night raids clear the bayous, and a fog too thin to hide, too thick to shoot, settles on the line. When the rockets lift, British columns find the unspiked guns and a crossing plank where none should be. Militia fire ragged, regulars hold then fold, a captured gunboat rakes the flank. By mid-morning the cotton wall is a ruin and Jackson's staff argues retreat against rout. New Orleans is not defended street by street. It is surrounded, saluted, and surrendered. Major General Lambert declares a military governorship. Admiral Cochrane moors the fleet like a lock on the river. Property is respected, customs seized, the port reopened under British dues. Merchants grumble, then count, planters hate, then ship. A proclamation offers amnesty to civilians, parole to soldiers, and steady pay to any who keep the warehouses moving. The city learns a new ritual, unload at dawn, queue for passes by noon, and bow, lightly, to the flag that now owns the tide. Peace is signed in Europe, but possession is fact in Louisiana. London reads Ghent narrowly, status as held when the news arrives. Washington reads it broadly, status as before the last shot fired. Diplomats trade Latin, gunboats trade shadows on the river. British ministers sense a lever, keep New Orleans as a temporary guarantee for debts and boundaries, or hint at a condominium under royal and Spanish law.
Says right here, who owns
in taverns
the mouth?
upriver, a question sharper
Nobody
than any
owns the
bayonet.
mouth.
Who are we if our grain must ask permission to become money? Upstream, grain stacks and spoils while buyers wait for papers stamped in a city they no longer own. Prices sag in Pittsburgh and Natchez, credit tightens like a tourniquet. British dues are low but absolute, no pass, no money. Smugglers learn the bayous, honest men learn delay. Planters pivot from New York factors to Liverpool insurers, Westerners trade whiskey because barrels travel better than promises.
Keep falling.
A continent meets its new landlord, the tide. Congress breaks into new tribes. Rivermen and cottonmen demand an army and an embargo. Port merchants want passes, not powder. The president asks for time, governors demand plans. Militia drill on courthouse screens while newspapers duel, retake the mouth, versus count the cost. In back rooms a strange coalition forms, Western Democrats and Old Federalists, uniting on one sentence, a nation that can't defend its bread can't defend its name. London renames the city a promise, Crown Port Orleans, a free port with strict papers and stricter seas. Admiralty courts say, Gulf patrols seize suspicious cargoes as Britain polices the slave trade it has outlawed. Creole merchants petition for stability, planters grumble at new eyes on old labor. Madrid worries for Havana and Veracruz, Washington warns that free ports become permanent. Between proclamations and patrols,
Governor.
the Union Jack learns what New Orleans already knew, hold the mouth, and you hold the story others can tell. London reads the map, Madrid reads the clock, Washington reads the crowd. Britain offers a narrow formula, keep Crown Port Orleans as security for debts and borders, share river tolls under a joint commission, revisit in 5 years. Spain fears a British hinge on the Gulf yet prefers a key it can borrow to adore the Americans' break. In the US, hawks count cannon, merchants count costs. Dispatches cross the Atlantic like dice. Every clause is a bargain, every comma a frontier. Crown Port Orleans grows like tide grass. Clerks learn 3 ledgers, harbor slang mixes English, French, and Spanish.
If we proceed, you will
Cotton and
receive
sugar
full
move
payment.
out, credit and labor flow in, Irish hands on the levee,
Indeed.
Canary Islanders in the markets, free people of color brokering deals nobody else can. Insurers in London price the river like a sea lane, Caribbean merchants hedge between flags. The city sells what empires can't, speed. If you have the papers, the port has the hour. To keep them out,
These belts
Britain courts the
signify
banks
our
of the
ancient
river.
bonds.
Agents meet Choctaw and Chickasaw headmen for
We
trade
seek
annuities
fair
and safe
trade
passage
and a last-
tokens.
Permiso para
Spanish
pasar.
Florida
Sí,
tightens
capitán.
patrols as runaways and raiders test the borders. American Rangers shadow the line from the Tombigbee to the Atchafalaya. No empire wants a war, every nation wants a say. Between bayou and bluff, councils burn late. The lower Mississippi becomes what great rivers always become, more than water, less than peace.
The
With the
Mohawk
river's
Survey.
mouth under a foreign flag, the North answers with shovels. New York accelerates a canal from the Hudson to the lakes, surveyors pace
Pull,
the Mohawk,
boys!
legislators
Heave it!
sell the future by the mile. Buffalo becomes a
Watch the
hinge,
line!
not a horizon. On the Canadian side, engineers sketch a well-entertained Niagara. Lake steamers stitch towns to mills, water frames in Lowell hum for markets reached by lock and ledger. If New Orleans is a lock Britain turns, the interior will build its own quays, wooden, wet, and paid for in tolls. The Gulf learns new manners. A U.S. squadron drills off Mobile, a British frigate winters near Ship Island, Spanish gunboats watch the lines and the smugglers who slip between them. Lafitte's pilots sell knowledge of every shoal to the highest lawful bidder. Charts grow crowded, neutral
Hold
lanes,
steady, we're coming
quarantine
alongside
roads,
now.
patrol arcs. Washington
Fire
argues
out.
for presence without provocation, London for order without war, Madrid for quiet above all. Cannons stay silent. Flags do the talking. After 4 tense years, the diplomats trade maps for math. In Havana they draft a narrow peace, Crown Port Orleans remains British, but the river opens under a lower Mississippi commission, joint dues posted in both languages, bonded warehouses for grain, patrols against the slave trade, review in 10 years.
So that's the final
Washington
count, then?
claims access,
Indeed,
London
all
claims
accounted for.
security, Madrid claims quiet frontiers. Upriver, a flatboat captain pockets the first standardized pass and shoves off. Treaty or truce, the current doesn't care. It carries money. Britain polices the Gulf against the slave-traded outlaws, while slavery deepens upriver. On the levee, dock work shifts to wages and passes.
We need to consider
in
the
the cane
market
fields,
fluctuations.
overseers count days to
Certainement, les prix du
harvest.
sucre sont en hausse.
Runaways test the wetlands,
Nécessitamos
patrols test
actuar
their maps.
rapidement.
Creole activists petition for rights, planters demand discretion. Crown Port's law draws a line through the same city, on one side, contracts and courts, on the other, labor bound by law. The river carries both truths, and smudges them in the mud. Britain
These
polices the Gulf
manifests
against the
appear to be in
slave-traded
order,
outlaws,
but
while
the
slavery
dates
deepens
are
upriver.
inconsistent.
On the levee, dock work shifts to wages and passes, in the cane fields,
Next.
overseers count days
Yes,
to
sir.
harvest. Runaways test the wetlands, patrols test their maps. Creole activists petition for rights, planters demand discretion. Crown Port's law draws a line through the same city, on one side, contracts and courts, on the other, labor bound by law. The river carries both truths, and smudges them in the mud. The United States chooses a long answer over a loud one. The Erie Canal opens early and wide, lake ports blossom, mills hum with markets that no fleet can close. The lower Mississippi Commission renews by habit, not love, dues adjusted, patrols agreed, review delayed. Britain keeps Crown Port, America keeps building around it. On a map, the river is a line of control. In life, it's a network of choices, locks instead of battles, passports instead of sieges, a future paid in tolls rather than tribute.